Hey everybody, welcome back to Family Ministries Team Podcast. Pastor Royce. I'm here with
Jared Crowley.
my friend.
That's me.
Jared Crowley.
Hello.
We're here. We're hanging out. Hey, don't have a super long episode for you guys this month. We're in the midst of the summer. It's hot. It's going to be 110 degrees next week.
I hate it.
Which is crazy.
It's terrible.
I'm too chubby for this, man.
Literally on my way in here, I was desperately trying to unlock the door as fast as I could.
It is so warm. Like, it is impossibly hot outside. It's going to be really cool, though, because we are going to Black Bob Bay on July 14th, 7:30 to 9:30, and we want you to be there. I want you to be there as a team. Like, you guys deserve to have fun. We're renting out the whole thing. It's going to be super, super fun. Be a good place to cool off and just connect. You know, a big thing, we love that you guys serve on a week-to-week basis. I was thinking about this the other day around how, one of the early, I guess, kind of emphasis points that I had was for family ministries to really feel like a family. You know, we're a pretty large team, so that can be kind of difficult. And moments like, being able to go Black Bob Bay as a team and just interact with the families that we interact with on a week-to-week basis, make those connection points outside of a church context, that goes a long way.
For sure.
And it really helps, create a sense of family. I know we're a pretty big church, just in and of this campus. Yeah. And so I remember coming here when it was, 300 people and you got to know everybody pretty quickly. And now it's like, there's new people every week. We have multiple services. Some people are here once a month. You barely see them, and it's easy to disconnect and just kind of become a number in a system, or at least feel that way. I know I've personally never felt that way, but my relationship to Church of the Harvest is probably pretty unique. And so is yours, actually. Yeah. So, I understand what it's like for people to get lost, and we want to keep everybody as close and, as we can. So the event on the 14th is a big deal. So plan on being there. It'll be a really good time. I'm going to be there. Throw your kids in a pool.
Are you going to wear a shirt?
Probably, yes. Yeah. I'm not a shirts off pool guy, but I also don't like to get in pools. It's weird. I'm weird.
I've had a terrible season in my life where I'm currently losing weight, but the weight hasn't been lost yet. Swimming is one of my favorite things on the planet.
Really?
And I've never been in a position where I've felt the need to swim with a shirt. So I'm at such a crossroads in my life right now. I feel like this is a part of adulthood they don't talk about,
Shirt on swimming versus
the first time you
well,
wear
there's
a shirt
also
the
modest is hottest thing for pastors. So, you never know who's going to judge you because you're shirts off and they're like, he's such a weird children's ministry pastor. I'm not a children's ministry pastor. I'm a family ministry pastor, number one. Yeah. But no, for all of the above aforementioned reasons, I'll have my toes in the pool.
Nice.
And I'll hang out and shake hands and kiss babies. But it'll be a good event. It'll be fun. So I'm looking forward
excited.
to it. Other than that, we have obviously kind of our week-to-week things going on. One thing we do want to give you a heads up about. So. Two things coming down the pike that are very, very important that I need you to have a heads up on I think it's the 11th and then the following Sunday. Let me get my calendar out. Shows you how prepared I am for this conversation. Sorry, July 9th and July 16th. So the second and third weekend of July on Sunday morning during both of the services, we're going to be running tornado drill. So obviously we don't want to ever be in a situation where we're caught off guard whenever it comes to safety and kiddos. The only way that we can really kind of get our heads and hands around those things is to do them and to drill them before we're actually caught in the situation that we're caught in. Obviously, with the construction that's going on, we didn't find that it would be wise to do fire drills because that requires people to go outside. There's lots of things currently outside, so we'll do that later in the fall. But as of July, we are going to do tornado drills, which is all inside the building. If you don't know, with tornadoes, you get to the lower part of the church until that is full, and then it goes into the middle hallway away from the windows. And so we have charts out, all kinds of stuff there, and so we'll be actually drilling those. There'll be more information that'll come out via email for everyone so that you know what's going on, so that your kiddos, they don't feel like it's this emergent thing. They know that it's a drill. We will be informing parents via email, through 411, through the pulpit, so that way everyone has a heads up before we get there, so that way no one gets triggered and has a panic attack and has to deal with all that fun stuff, because we're trying to avoid that as best we can. But alongside that, another thing that's going to be pretty important is we are working on a project currently between essentially Pastor Lester's group with IT and facilities on getting cameras in classrooms.
Yeah, for sure.
This has been a big deal for me for a while. We have awesome camera coverage on all of our external spaces. But this will be an added layer of really just protection for everybody. Yeah. It was one of the first priorities that I had. It got kind of put on a back burner for a second because I don't know if you have seen the exterior of the south side of the building, but it's completely tore up. They actually have concrete down, and the entrances are going to be open throughout the month of July. So we'll have our traffic flow back. But regardless, it got pushed forward, and so I'm excited to announce that that's coming. I don't have an exact timeline on it. Obviously, there's some variables that come into place there, but just know that is coming up, and we'll be watching you. No, I'm playing. We're not watching you. We're watching out for you. Yeah. It's a much better way of thinking about it, but that is kind of the highlights, man, going through July. We've got the event. Just a heads up, also August 4th is our last Summer Shakeup event. And that's going to be a movie night here at the church. We're looking at doing some really cool things with that. So,
are we telling people what it is?
No, we're not. Okay. For various reasons.
Oh, right.
It will be age appropriate, and I can promise you this. I can promise
we'll
you this.
Give you hints.
It will not be the movie Inside Out. It will not be that movie.
We will be avoiding that
You will never see that movie or hear me promote it in any kind of way. As long as you know me. I hate that movie. I hate everything that it stands for. But it won't be that. It'll be something else. We'll see what it is. I'm not choosing the movie either. Like, I'm not the safe adult in the room to choose the movie for the children.
I think Cynthia already chose it.
Did she? Okay, yeah. That's the safe bet. You know, Cynthia, if you guys need to know who's the adult, if me and her are around, it's her. Yeah. It's definitely her. Yeah. I worked with teenagers for way too long. I connect with them.
I'll just say this. Bring your plungers.
Bring your plungers. I don't know what that means, and I'm afraid.
I think that's vague enough.
That is very vague, but there's not going to be any overflowing toilets.
Just think about this year. Just think about the movies that came out this year that had plungers in them.
Whatever.
Okay. They'll figure it out.
I may not have seen that movie. But at any rate, those are kind of the big things that we have going on. Last thing that I want to give you guys a heads up on, and we're keeping this episode tight. Just so that everyone knows, the reason that we do podcasts is because it's impossible to get everyone in a room somewhere where we can have this conversation. And we didn't want to inundate your lives with volunteering and also having a meeting and then having a second meeting and then blah, blah, blah. You know, this is to streamline communications so that we can create a point of connectivity so that you can feel informed and be informed practically. And then also to create a sense of maybe a little bit of a further explanation down into some of maybe the areas that are a little bit more seen like they're in the weeds, like security and safety, that are really important topics, and they have a lot of nuance to them, but we might not be able to, like I said, get everybody in a room. So we can talk about it here. We can disperse this information to you in a way that you can consume it in a way that's convenient for you. We want to make things convenient for you because we never want you to serve us more than we serve you. That's a big deal to me, and just how we run things on the team. That being said, though, one of the other things that's really important to me, let me think about how I want to say this. So, no church is better than the health of its people. And no team is better than how it facilitates the health of its people. I'm not of the opinion that just because you serve in a church, that means that you're healthy in all these ways and you've got all these things figured out and you somehow checked this box where we're just morally superior to some other form of people. Yeah. And I don't know anyone personally that has that opinion either. We know we're all people trying to figure this thing out. We haven't figured it out. We put all of our faith in Jesus And then we figure out, what does that look like practically in my life? And so I'm always trying to point people towards things. One thing that is a great barometer of personal health is the health of a marriage. And that can be really daunting to a lot of people, because it's like, well, then we do that thing where we count all the negatives first. We take what I call inaccurate inventory, where it's like we're just super sensitive to all the things that aren't ideal in our opinion or from our perspective, and we don't also look at the things that are the wins.
Sure.
I think that's why things like Mother's Day and Father's Day are actually really healthy things, is because you can have somebody who thinks that they're a horrible dad, and then their families are reminded of the ways that they're really, really good dads. And it's like, okay, the sample size is both of these things simultaneously.
Sure, yeah.
But whenever it comes to marriage, I think a lot of times people shy away from leaning into areas. Obviously, like, marriage is super, it's very personal, obviously. But it's also like not meant to be done alone. It's kind of the concept of like, man wasn't meant to be alone. Yeah. That's one of the great benefits that marriage provides, is that you're not alone. But we also know that, two people just trying to figure this out on an island is not a good idea either. And so for that reason, like for some of that purpose, we are going to be starting in July a Wednesday night marriage, I don't know what we're calling it, class or whatever. It's going to be in the evening. I think it's 7 to 8:30, where it's going to be a short time of teaching, maybe a half hour, and then we're going to ask some questions, and we're going to do some things whenever it comes to breaking out small groups and being able to have like honest and genuine conversations. Yeah. It's going to run from, I believe it is Wednesday. My calendar just died. It's going to be starting on Wednesday, July 12th. It's going to run through August 16th. So it's a 6-week thing. I'm teaching the last one. I did just celebrate 14 years of marriage. Me and Jenny have been together for more than half of our lives now. So that's a big deal, especially if you know our story and our background. That's a huge deal. Yeah. But we're not the people that are kind of leading the class. We're not coming at this from an point that we are experts in marriage. It's just we have our experiences. We want to know your experiences. We want to serve people in their marriages. No family is healthier than the marriage that family is built around. And so we obviously want to support the family structure. We want to support marriages. And we want you to engage. It's not... People do this all the time. It's kind of similar to like Celebrate Recovery. People think that the people that are in Celebrate Recovery are people that are like steeped in addiction. And it's like, no, it's not that. It's people that don't want to be steeped in addiction. It's not go through this class because your marriage is falling apart. Go through this class because you don't want your marriage to fall apart. Yeah, and it's not to say that going through this class is the only thing that will keep your marriage from falling. It's not that at all, but it's like, this gives a great fighting chance, a lot of perspective, and a lot of just areas of help. I think help and health, I think, is really the biggest deal. And walking in wholeness, I'm not real big on, hey, let's just fix all the things that are broken. I'm real big on let's focus so much on the wins that they overwhelm the losses on a practical standpoint. You can boil that down to even perspectives of what it's like to follow Jesus. It's not, what do I need to say no to?
Yep.
It's how big is my yes, and if that yes is so big that it overwhelms, like that's my early story especially. It's like I got so busy with the yes of falling in love with Jesus that I literally turned around like 4 years later, and there were big areas, big issues in my life that I was just like, that's gone.
For sure, yeah.
And I didn't even notice. I didn't actively say no to a thing.
Right.
Like I just said yes to this thing. So it's very much about saying yes to marriage. Now, but there's also too the specificity of if there's a particular issue that's not hit in a general sense, we will dive in. We will go to bat. We're with you. And I say that because for those of you who don't know me and Jenny's story, I'm not going to go through all of it, but our marriage has not always been great. We went through really, really hard times, especially early on. If you can imagine just two 19-year-old kids who, she gets pregnant and you don't even have a relationship with Jesus for like another 2 years. Like Chloe was 2 when I got saved. And so then, Jenny and I got married 8 months after that. And so you can do the math on how complicated that was early on. And, our early days of Church of the Harvest was going to the Young and Marrieds group at Pastor Mike's house. And, me having a lot of meetings with Pastor Mike on examining what it means to be a husband.
Yeah.
And me getting hit over the head a lot because I'm hard-headed and stupid, but I'm also very correctable. I'm like, yeah, I know I'm stupid. Just help me.
Right.
Like, I don't have to be right. Like, tell me where I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And if you need somebody to tell you where you're wrong, just talk to Mike.
Yep.
Like, he'll let you know. He'll figure it out real quick. He's anointed for it. He's great at it. And it's cool because it's not like he's just going to tell you what you're doing wrong. Like, that was really the brilliant thing and the beautiful thing about walking out that season. He taught me what was right.
Yeah, for sure.
And he taught me what was right far more than he pointed out what was wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what we're here to do.
Yep.
So I want you guys to engage that as much as you can. Obviously, we know that you serve. We know that you have lives. We know that you got all that stuff going on. But for what it's worth, I wanted to put that plug in there. We're doing that. And we love marriages and we love you. And so let's do that too.
Yeah.
I don't have anything. Jared, I know you're getting ready. Bold will be done by the time you guys probably get this. So that means that all your kids who signed up to go to Bold they'll be completely in love with Jesus by then. And for everyone who didn't,
for 2 days, and then it'll go back.
No, it's gonna last for forever. Just like when you went to camp.
Yeah, exactly.
It's way better than camp.
No,
Trust me, I've vetted it. It is way better than camp.
Yeah. No, it is. I am always a big camp defender in these kinds of conversations because it is like, I think it's really discouraging from the adult kind of perspective of like, yeah, I mean, I've never had kids, but I'm just picturing what it would be like to watch your kids be super on fire for like a week and then kind of go back to school or whatever, and it kind of dies out. From the perspective of somebody that went through it, though, it's like, yeah, that was the flow of it. Like, make no mistake about it. It was, being super in love with Jesus and the aesthetic of Christianity and going to church with your friends and stuff for a short period of time, and then real life sinks back in. But that compounded year after year after year really does, like, it did create a good kind of foundation in a lot of ways for like when I actually got saved, and like actually developed a personal relationship with God. I think it's not, it doesn't get considered enough how good it can be as an adult or a young adult to look back on moments where you weren't even really committed to God on your end, but he was committed to you on your end. You weren't necessarily pursuing him in the most authentic, sort of, I don't want to say correct, but I think you know what I mean, like the right way to go about it, but he was still pursuing you in the most authentic, perfect way possible, so yeah, so it's exciting. So don't get discouraged if your kids come back from Bold and it only takes a little bit for them to start talking the way they used to talk or whatever. Like it's these things are big, impactful things, whether the fruit of it is seen immediately or not.
Yeah, and I think one thing too is like, just so that everyone knows, the ideal reality wouldn't be that we do something big in the summer. It would be that we do something big in the summer and we do something big in the fall and we do something big in the spring.
Right.
But we kind of have to get buy-in, from families, from people to create this rhythm, to create this prioritization. We have student leadership that's built, that's there. We're kind of culturizing that to be a thing that's prioritized. But again, we have to have everybody kind of come along with us. Like, hey, let's play this game. It'll go well if we play this game well. It's not just about doing this one big thing in the summer, but we're really happy to create a rhythm of doing this each season. That way, the ebbs and flows aren't as polarizing as they happen, and then we can walk families and students through it as we kind of experience all that life has. And you guys know that as an adult too. Like, you never had a time that was more free than when you were in middle school and high school. It was never more convenient to follow God with all that you had during those seasons, because it only gets more complicated. You get a job and then you don't get to tell your schedule what to do, and it tells you what to do unless you're super privileged. Like, I didn't know anybody in their 20s that they were like, yeah, I can take this time off for sure. Or I make my own schedule, and then it's and then another person, and then it's children, and then so it's it's definitely a great and awesome time to be able to lean in. We want to create that schedule for those kiddos as well. But appreciate you guys. Appreciate all you do week in and week out. It's been an amazing summer so far, and I can't wait to just see kind of how the rest of the year unfolds with all of the exciting things that are happening. And as they happen and unfold, it'll be great.
Yeah.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.